For a great meal, it only works if you know how to use the ingredients. As a best-selling author, entrepreneur, business coach, strategist, and champion, the Lewis Howard Live Show provides you the insider's view on winning. All we do is win, 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 helping you become the best version of yourself. Morning, good afternoon, good evening. Buenos dias, buenas tardes, buenas noches. Hey, welcome to another edition of Lewis Howard Live, and I am Lewis Howard, and we're live. Maybe you're listening to this later, so you're not so live, but it's still live because it's full of life. Hey, you can see our quote of the day for the show is, everything you are comes from your choices. That's what we're going to be talking about today, right? What is it about choices that affects people's lives, affects their income, outcome, in-go, out-go, choices, right? And one of my mentors, leaders, pastor, great guy, started a series, and I've been kind of following that, and I thought I'm just gonna really piggyback off of that because it's good. Choices is something that's really simple, but yet not so simple, right? Um, you have the choice to do right, or you have the choice to do wrong. So I always like to start. Let's just see what the official um, definition of choices are, and let's just start from there, right? Because that's probably the best way to do that. And so here's what it says in the dictionary. um, Choice, a noun, an act of selecting or making a decision when faced with two or more possibilities. Okay. uh, it is also could be a adjective, which basically says very good quality food. And of course, you could have one that says, choice words. So I like, obviously, the noun version of this: open, alternative, possibility, possible course of action. So here's what we hear sometimes with people, right? I hear with people, and people will say, I didn't have a choice. And um, I didn't have a choice, right? But the reality is you actually do. Sometimes we don't like the choice that we have, but we always have a choice. Okay. And so, if you hear people say that, just know the issue is they don't like the choices that they have. So for them, they have no choices. And so I'm just going to grab some notes here, some things that I put in from Casey on the notes this weekend. Anyway, so the choice of making decisions. And here's the thing about choices. The thing about choices is they begin very early in life, but they will affect you much later in your life than probably you realize. Um, when we're taught younger, one of the things that we're taught is how to share. How to share with your siblings, how to share with friends and communities, right? So learning to share is one thing, choosing to share is another thing, right? So you have to choose to actually share what you learn. And many kids have problems with that. I don't want to give away my toy to that kid. I don't want to share. I don't want to do it. So for them, they're making a decision to withhold the ability to share. Will that follow them the rest of their life? Might. Or they get mature and they transform into someone that says, oh, it's okay. But the thing about choices, it's always a set. It's set A, set B. Okay. Do you want to go back to school and invest several years and getting a degree if you're a student, or do you want to go out and get into the job market? Now, this is because I got two choices: school, job market, school. But my finances might be telling me I don't have any money. I got to pay bills, right? So what you might say in that particular situation, I don't have a choice. I got to go to work. Okay. Because I'm dealing with a third party kind of decision here. And I need to decide which one's going to be better. Well, you actually had two choices. Okay. You had a choice to go to school or you had a choice to go to work. You chose to go to work. So here is the other part of this, and this is one of the things that came out, is a lot of times what we will do with choices is we will say, it's not my fault. Okay. It's the bill collector's fault. It's that person's fault. And so we usually will displace it to a third party, or we will look for somebody who will help us in our choices. Well, I don't have any money, so I can't do this. I don't have, I'm kind of dealing with, I'm trying to deal with, some things with, one of my children right now. And it's a mentality thing about choices, that they are struggling with the ability to make good choices. That's all it is. Choices are just making decisions. And I heard this quote said by someone else. The difference is choices is you're relying on a plan A or a plan B. When you make a decision, I'm not relying on anything at that point. I'm committed. So ultimately, the best place to be is to be a decisive person. I might have to waver between a plan A and plan B, but ultimately, I'm going to make a decision. So the question I have for you today is, are you a good decision maker? First of all, right? Can you weigh two things and make a good decision? Look, I don't like eating at the restaurant with certain people. And you know why I don't like eating at the restaurant with certain people? Because they can't make a decision, right? There's 20 items on the menu, right? And they can't decide. Well, I don't know if am I vegan today or am I carnivore today? I don't know. I can't decide. I can't, right? And so they're vacillating. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there going, okay, I'm gonna have pasta. I'm ready to go, right? And then the server, they only have so much time. They got to get to the next table. But this person's indecisiveness, right? He or she's got 20 choices, but can't make a decision. And they're holding up the entire table because they're indecisive. And have they ever had people do this? Oh, you go ahead. No, you go ahead. You go ahead. It's because they don't want to make a decision. So it's important, because here's a saying that I learned. If you don't do something with life, life will do something with you. If you are not prepared to make good choices and sound decisions, then by default, life is going to carry you down like a river. You're just going to be floating along. And it was said, one of the thoughts that came up is there's some people that are not even controlling their life anymore, right? Other people are making choices for them. They're deciding when they eat, when they go to bed. If you get locked up in jail, there's a lot of choices you're no longer making. The jail decides when you get up, when you go to bed, when you eat. Okay. If you're working for an employer and you're just a passive employee, the employer decides when you get a raise, when you take lunch, when you show up, when you leave, what you do while you're there. You have no input. Okay. And so you don't want to be a default choice person. You want to be an active chooser. I want to be an active chooser of my destiny, of my work, and my assignment. Why? Because I want to choose things that are in line with what I'm passionate about. Right? There are numbers of people right now, I promise you this, they're in jobs that they hate. They do not like it. Right? They're in a service business. They don't want to be there. They're in a retail business. They don't want to be there. They're working for a dentist assistant. They don't want to be there. They're executive assistants, transaction coordinators. If you're in real estate, they don't want to be there. But you know what they'll all say is, I have no choice. I gotta make a living. Well, that's not true. You can quit. You could not be there, right? And and for some people, I hate to say this, it would be better if someone quit what they're doing than keep giving lousy service, right? Have you just had just lousy service from someone that you could just tell they don't want to be there, but they've made a decision to be there, but they're not standing behind their decision very well. They're complaining, they're whining, they're on their phone every chance they get. All right. So these folks might need to make a new set of choices. They need to make a new set of decisions. And the bottom line is here's the thing I want you to think about choices as choices are like seeds. Okay. You sow a seed today, it becomes something sometime later, right? You sow apple seeds today, eventually you're going to have apple trees. You sow lemons, you're going to get lemon trees. Okay. If you sow certain choices, you're going to reap the benefit of those choices. Okay. Young man, I sowed make some bad choices, right? And eventually those choices caught up with me. Man, I was always in court, under arrest, out of arrest, constantly having problems. And what I realized is it was my choices. So I promise you, thought number two, you can look back in your life. If something is not right today, then take a few steps back and look at your life. You will find that it came from a choice. So, what do I mean by that? If if the way you're managing money today is not the way that you want money to be managed, you have to go back and look in your life and say, wait a minute, where did I first learn about money? And what's my relationship with money? Okay. And you're going to find that either from you or somebody that you valued, a mom, a dad, aunt, uncle, cousin, grandma, grandpa, somebody taught you about it. You made choices based on that person's philosophy, and now you're living that way. Seriously, right? So if you don't like the way things are going, you have to change. I told somebody this the other day that when you change, your options will automatically change. When you change, your environment will not will change, right? The person who says, I have no friends is choosing to not have friends. Okay. The person who says, man, I got nothing to do is choosing not to have anything to do. There's always something to do. There's always a honey-do list. There's always something people say, I got nothing to do. Right. And what they mean is, I don't have nothing I want to do. I have plenty that I could do, I could choose to do. Okay. So you have to, thought three here is you got to redeem the time, right? And choices are so important because you won't get the time back. You really need to contemplate and make wise choices with relationships. You need to make wise choices with your finances, with your education, with your assignment, with your businesses. You really need to examine why you're making choices. And what I don't want to see you become is the default person. The person's just on automatic and they're just making choices and they keep ending up with the same thing. We call it habit insanity. You keep doing the same thing, you keep getting the same thing, keep doing the same thing, keep getting the same thing. You're complaining, you're whining, you're belly aching, but you're not changing. Right? You complain about the weight that you don't want on your physical body, but you're choosing not to exercise. Right? Oh, well, I have this ache, I got this problem, I got this. Okay, you got to stop that because there's an exercise for everything that won't stress out something. Okay, so you have to stop making excuses of not changing. Right? You have to be willing to make the sacrifice to change, and a lot of people are just not willing. I have empathy for people in hard situations. I really do. And I have an investment into that and resources and organizations that I'm a part of to help people. But I also realize that some people are in bad situations because of the choices that they made. Now, they made some of those choices out of ignorance. Maybe, you know, You snapped, you had a bad temper, you hit someone, now you got a whole criminal thing to doing, or you yelling and screaming and something's got out of hand and somebody made the choice to do something that they now regret. Have you ever done something? Have you ever made a choice in your life that you immediately said, I immediately regret this? I immediately regret that I did this. Okay. I made the choice. The other point is learn from your choices. If you're making bad choices, right? Or things are not, you can't keep a date, okay? You can't keep a marriage, you can't keep a job, then you've got to step back and say, what kind of choices that I'm making? Don't blame other people, right? You can't blame the government. You can't blame the rich person. You can't blame the black person. You can't blame the white person. You can't blame the Asian person. You can't blame the Latino. You can't blame anybody outside your village. I have a saying. The saying goes this: everywhere you go, there you are. So if things are not working out, I promise you that you're part of the issue, right? May not like it, but it's true. So my choices began with me. Let me borrow a few things that he said. Choices are easy for me. Some choices that are easy for me are hard for other people. Okay, there's some things I can do, no problem. There are some people, other things that people will try to do the same thing as I'm doing is hard for them, right? But there are things that they can do that's easy for them that's difficult for me. I am not a hiker, right? I am not a mountain climber. I was in military. I had enough of that. But there are people, it's easy for them to go out this weekend and they go hiking. No problem. Me, it would be a big problem. But I can go to the gym 3 or 4 times a week. I can do personal training. I can discipline myself in so many areas. It's no problem. But for other people, it's difficult. So don't ever let someone guide you in choices because it's easy for them or it's hard for them. You have to make choices that are right for you. Let me grab a couple one. Um, the ability to delay gratification. This was a big point. So the ability to delay gratification um, is the habit of an addict. One of the problems we have in our Western culture, if you guys have listened to this in the West, is it's hard to delay gratification. One of the difference between wealthy people and non-wealthy people is their ability to delay gratification. When they get a little money, they don't go out and spend it on clothes. They're not on shopping on Amazon. They're not buying, fancy wheels for their ride. They're not buying the latest dress. They are making the sacrifice to delay. So one of the big aspects of making good choices is delay gratification, right? Do you need that new truck right now? Do you need that new whatever right now? Or can you put that out? I am learning over my time to delay my gratification for future pleasure and future enjoyment. That is one of the biggest hinder because we want it now, right? Okay, here's an example. Instead of buying healthy food, going home and cooking, right? And controlling the ingredients that are in your meal, which is very important when it goes in your body for health, you would rather drive through Mickey D's and get the burger, get the fries, and get everything put together. Why? Because I don't want to wait. I don't want to wait. Okay. And if I don't want to wait, but I'm putting on the weight, right? I like that. Don't want to wait, but I'm putting on the weight because I can't wait. You don't wait, you're going to put on the weight. Okay. And the other thing is about choices, okay, is people like to skip steps, right? Um, let's say education, let's say training, right? We want to get it over now. I want to skip steps. Can I get the certificate? No, it's the first day, right? Uh, Delayed gratification and this ability. So let me tell you a lesson in life that I've learned. Every time if you're climbing a ladder and you start to skip steps, as a lot of younger folks like to do because they think they got all the time in the world, you're going to have to come back to those steps. I see it all the time in business. I see it all in relationships. People have skipped steps. They found a workaround, but they always have to come back. And my mentor and builder said his philosophy was do it right the first time so we don't have to come back and do it right a second time, right? So the philosophy always do is let's make the choice to do it right. So you can kind of see how choices are like yeast, right? It works its way through your life and it affects the outcome of the ingredients of your life, right? It's working its way in. So choices really isn't important. It's something that we kind of play the fool with. No big deal. I didn't have a choice. Or we push it off on someone else, or we don't want to delay the gratification, or it's always somebody else's fault. Okay. But at the end of the day, everywhere you go, there you are. And if you don't like the fruit that you have in your life, it is because of the choices that you made yesterday. Here is the good news, right? As I wrap it up and take it home, the good news is you can change. Wow. You don't have to stay the same. You can change. So you can start today saying, today I'm choosing a new healthy life. Today I'm choosing new relationships. Today I'm choosing a new financial path. That's the beautiful God-given ability to human beings. Dogs can't do that. Cats can't do that. Sharks can't do that. Bears can't do that. Lions and tigers can't just decide, I'm no longer a lion, I'm going to change. No, but we have that ability. We can change. So take a look. Here's your homework assignment. Take a look at some areas. Number one, take a look at some areas that are working well for you. Let's start with that. Okay. And then look at the choices that you made in those particular areas. Okay. Then after you're done feeling good about yourself, make a list of a half a dozen things in your life that's not going well. Okay. Exercise physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, legally, relationally. Then take each one of those and look at the choices that you made or your first understanding of that particular area and where you got it from. I promise you're going to see a pattern. And when you spot the pattern, that's the opportunity for change. Okay, let me say it again. When you spot a pattern, that's the opportunity to change. Not to go past and go, oh, well, that's interesting. No, I want to grab that moment. So if I found that for me, okay, my relationship with money was really bad growing up because my family didn't have enough of it, right? And when I got it, it was like the most precious thing on the planet. And so I just developed this weird relationship with money where I always needed, but I didn't have enough of it. Weird, right? But I realized it's because we were spending all we got. We were so fearful of not having it in the future, we would spend all we got. So I realized I had to change my relationship with money. Number one, I can't spend every dime I get. And two, I can actually save money for future purchases instead of going on credit and leveraging myself and putting payments on me. Instead, how about I just defer that and pay cash for the thing, right? Just saying, it's a thought. Just a thought, right? Because I grew up in a house, everything was either on layaway or they had payments. You couldn't sit on that couch because they had to make the payment next month. Okay. Don't damage this because we're paying this on time, right? We'll get your stuff out of layaway after we get done paying on it. Okay. So we all have those kind of stories. And some of them are worse. I mean, I'm making this light, but I'm talking about there are abusive situations that, anger, you grew up around somebody being angry and now you're angry. Okay, those are more serious things. Or you grew up around addicts. Now you got an addiction. It came from something. But again, the good news is you can change. And the first step to changing is admission. Hey, I'm bad with money. Let me change it. Hey, I'm not good with people. Let me change who I am, right? Am I failing my kids in this particular area? Let me change who I am. You can do that. All right. So I hope, as always, we're going to give you a couple thoughts that help you become the best version of yourself. But remember what my post said. I'll throw it up again. What Jeff Bezos said here to you. Everything you are comes from the choices that you make. This is Lewis Howard. Thank you again for joining another edition of Lewis Howard Live. We'll see you again. Every great champion knows that success, overcoming, and winning in life is no accident. Creating individual success is like having a recipe for a great meal. It only works if you know how to use the ingredients. As a best-selling author, entrepreneur, business coach, strategist, and champion. The Lewis Howard Live Show provides you the insider's view on winning. All we do is win, 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 helping you become the best version of yourself.
Oh, so you do